Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about limited by search volume on Google Ads. Don't fall for this campaign status and lose your hat in the process, okay? With this status, okay, this is primarily a cash grab type of status. Google suggests some useful things sometimes on their platform to help you out, help themselves out. And there's some things that they suggest will only help them out, and you lose money in the process of going with their actual recommendation. Google, don't come after me for saying this stuff. I'm just giving you my honest opinion slash anecdotes about seeing this status, given I understand what this actually does. Clients who have stupidly fell for this status did it themselves, because I'm not using this status. There's no reason to. And what the end result of all of it actually was. So if you see this status pop up in your account, before you act on this, you need to know the information on this video, because certainly you may change your mind by the time you reach the end of this video. And I'll try to be as brief as I can about explaining why it is that this campaign status is not a status or recommendation that you want to go ahead and use for your campaign 99% of the time. Okay? So with that said, if you hover over your campaign status, so this campaign status that you're going to see in your account, it's usually a yellow status. It shows up in the campaign status column. If you hover over this campaign status, Google basically says here, get more conversions or better ROI adding broad match versions of your existing keywords. What this is actually going to do, though, if you go ahead and you take their advice, adding the broad match version of every keyword that you have inside those campaigns, yes, indeed, it will get you more individual impressions on each version of every keyword that you have. But in the process, you're going to get much lower ROI, generally speaking, 99% of the time, because broad match keywords run so super broad. If you're bidding on the keyword red shoes, broad match is going to have you show up for blue shoes and green shoes and, alligator skin shoes and all this other crap that you don't want to show up for. Yes, I get what a lot of other people are saying about broad match keywords, that if you run the broad match keywords, Google's algorithm is going to eventually learn what you should show up for and what you shouldn't show up for. And for that matter, the algorithm will find a bunch of stuff that you should show up for that gets you sales / leads that you couldn't have found or thought of on your own. And that absolutely is actually correct. But most people have to bootstrap their business. They cannot afford to lose money for Google to eventually find you some customers, or find them some customers, or run their campaigns at a loss for a while, or not get the same return that they had for a while to eventually find those customers. They have to take things slower, get a slower increase in profitability, but a steady one that is coming in and self-financed by the money that the campaigns they already have that are already making money. And generally speaking, when we're optimizing a campaign, we're usually shooting for just 10 to 20% growth in a campaign's profitability per month, which that actually is a lot of growth, because on a 5-year basis, you're going to have a 100x business basically. But just people that are impatient, that's not fast enough. And, naturally speaking, you can grow a lot faster if you have money to burn and throw away, letting the algorithm just try a bunch of random crap and then eventually get to what works. And that a lot of money could certainly be 50 grand that you have to throw at a campaign before it eventually comes around and gets you the results that you want. So what normally would have took you, let's say, 2 years to figure out and do with the campaign, you may be able to figure out the same thing in 3 months if you have the 50 grand to dump into it all at once within a 3-month period, get a bunch of learning done right away. So you just got to ask yourself, obviously, would you rather, because you're obviously always going to trade, it's a trade-off. You're going to lose the sales you would have got in that 2 years that you could have normally got right away if you just had hurried up and threw a bunch of money at that campaign right away. It's just, and if you have the money to burn, you have savings in your business, you don't know what else to invest it in, throw it into the campaign, potentially. But most of you guys don't have that you aren't set up for that. But even then, you don't normally want to do that because you're literally speaking, could go a different way, trying to expand your exact and phrase match version of your keywords more, which if you have a good foundation where you're getting good conversion rates, good click-through rates, Google's going to slowly branch you out just using your phrase match keywords to where you get a higher and higher spread, and you'll be able to grow the campaign's growth by 10 or 20% without having to do that, and there's no waste. So there's no 50 grand that you're throwing onto a fire in order to get the results, because that 50 grand is going to come at a loss. Whereas if you were just more patient and waited the 2 years to get to the same level of results, there was no burn at all up front. You were basically just growing and the new growth, the 10% growth, was 10% increase in profit per month, not sales. So anyway, whereas occasionally broad match though, keywords, has its place, I always separate that out into its own campaign as it performs so differently. What Google wants you to do is put these broad match keywords into your same campaign because the existing keywords in that campaign will kind of disguise the profitability of the broad match keywords. And if the average user realized that a broad match keyword is basically getting, a 0% ROI, they would just shut it off right away. What they should be doing is telling people or recommending to people that you've set up a separate campaign like I just suggested to you, because the broad match keywords are going to perform so much differently. You don't want to be fooled, which you could obviously filter and run a filtered report in your keywords menu to see how broad match is doing by itself, obviously. But the more important factor here is if you have a campaign that's supposed to spend $100 a day, and then you suddenly put those broad match keywords into that campaign, well, then all of a sudden, those broad match keywords might eat up 60% of your budget, and therefore, you had something that was consistently bringing in revenue, and then 60% of it gets wiped out to be spent on something that doesn't get you any revenue. So basically, you have 40% of the revenue you had from that campaign than you had before. So with that, the only way to really take advantage of this, that's even halfway sane, is if you had that $100 a day ad budget, you would have to go up to $300 a day at the same time of adding the broad match keywords. Because if you don't, like I said, it's going to eat into the productive budget that you had that was consistently bringing in sales at a productive rate, if you will. And then and then the extra $200 a month, $200 a day is basically speaking going to just be learning. It's probably going to have to be spent at least for a few months before the algorithm really figures out how to run those keywords halfway efficiently, and certainly may be years. And I'm not just saying that because I have a personal beef against broad match keywords here or whatever, because I still do use them. Where I do use them is where I cannot grow a campaign's profitability by that 10-20% a month anymore. I've plateaued. My results were going up like this. Then I got to where it plateaued out, and I've been plateaued out for 3 to 6 months already. That's the time where broad match keywords are smart to use, because it's going to get you growth where you can't normally get it anymore, where you can't just get it more reliably through the expansion of your phrase match keywords, where it will come in and come in profitably. But you got to, and just to take a step backwards here as well, you should be able to keep growing your campaigns without using broad match keywords just through phrase match, because phrase match are pretty broad in how they operate nowadays. It's not the phrase match of 5 years ago. So, because naturally they got rid of modified broad match, and phrase match is really like modified broad match used to be. And exact match, to go along with it, because they made changes there, is more like phrase match used to be. So you're naturally getting bigger spread anyway. And you got to realize how the Google system really works if you really want to make tons of money with Google Ads. Google Ads' system is always trying to find ads to promote that have high click-through rates, high conversion rates on the clicks that you're getting, because that makes people want to click on ads in the future because the users got a good experience. So they're constantly looking for the guy that has the best metrics there on those two levels to promote more, because that overall gets Google more revenue in the long term, because people want to click on ads more in the future and they want to come to Google more in the future. So what you want to do as an advertiser is focus on what the hell is it going to take for me to have higher click-through rates than anybody else I'm competing with on these same keywords, because there's 4 ads at the top of Google. There's probably, like 8 people being cycled in and out of those top 4 spots. And how do I have a higher conversion rate on the clicks I'm getting than the people that are in the 8 people being cycled in and out of those 4 ad spots? And because when you beat everybody, Google by default is going to want to keep you around. And they're going to keep you around by giving you much lower cost per click. Obviously, you're going to get more market share, click share. But more importantly, they're also going to give you the people that are the higher quality prospects, that are the most likely to convert, and convert in a big way, biggest clients, customers, whatever as well. This is actually very controversial, but I know it, I see it, I live it. When you start out a new campaign, the conversion rates you get starting out are absolute dog shit compared to that campaign once you've gotten a lot of traction and gotten data behind it, and you've got ads that have high click-through rates, high conversion rates. The conversion rate gets to be substantially better later on once they see your ad performs well. And the reason for that is simple. They're sending the person most likely to convert to the guy who's doing well as a reward to keep them around. And who are you going to, if you're Google and you're in Google's shoes, who are you going to send the person that you know is most likely to convert? To the guy who's going to probably be around 90 days and then gone, which is 9 out of 10 people who try Google ads, or the person that's been advertising for 5 years consistently? It makes no sense to send it to the new guy who's probably going to be in and out, and to possibly lose the 5-year guy, right? And so, and the difference between millions and not having millions is to get on that other side, that dividing line of Google wanting to keep you around versus not, and treating you like a sucker because you're probably going to be gone in 2 months, so we'll send all the shit traffic to you. Okay? So, if you want to make millions of dollars with Google ads, you get higher click-through rates and higher conversion rates than your competition. Everything else falls into place after that. And you set the foundation up. Then the results you get from the phrase match keywords, going back to what I was saying before, is naturally just going to keep creeping up higher and higher and higher, because they're constantly going to be trying to find you more customers and doing everything they can to find you more customers, because they want to promote you more and more and more, and they want to pour as much business onto you as possible, versus doing a poor job and them actually wanting to get rid of you completely, or certainly get rid of part of the traffic they're sending to you, because users aren't getting a good experience, and only part of them are, and let's get rid of the people that are getting the worst experience. And maybe some of the people are getting an okay experience, we can keep them. And by the way, they know who's most likely to convert on your keywords, because they look at everything people do before and after they make a keyword search on a keyword you're bidding on, and they know the statistical probability of that person converting. So when I say they're going to send the good quality traffic to the person who's on that other side of the dividing line, they can see statistically what are the chances somebody that's going to be a client or customer based upon their previous search behavior, what websites they went to in the past, how old they are, how rich they are, on and on and on and on and on. It is not just as simple as bidding on a keyword or not. It's the type of person who's searching for that keyword that matters in terms of making money from that keyword. And you only get the good people once you've proved to them that you deserve them, basically. And furthermore, though, when you advertise and you have conversion tracking set up, they also figure out, the people that are super high converting, and then they try to send even more of that type of person to you, or as much as possibly as they can. So anyway, everything I'm talking about here, phrase match keywords will get you way far. Most accounts, 9 out of 10 accounts that I manage, where we're bringing a person from 0 to multiple millions a year in sales in a profitable way, we're still just using phrase match keywords and not even ever touching broad match, because we're growing sales without broad match. in some occasions, more so in situations where it's a more arbitrary, nebulous type of business in terms of who's buying, we'll actually use broad match because we're plateaued out with the results that we have already. And it's more so about finding an audience that works versus the keywords themselves, such as we have a company that sells a gift product. You know, people looking for that specific gift, that's low-hanging fruit. Phrase match keywords, we can only get so much from that. Adding those keywords in broad match gives us a little bit of a spread and can show us, Google can find us keywords that will get us customers that we wouldn't have normally thought of. Mainly because, yes, they're not really searching for the same keyword, but all the rest of the traits that person has that matches a customer we've gotten in the past line up. You know, they're this age, this income level. They've went to this website in the past. And so if it just shows up for something roughly the same as the keyword we have, it'll convert as long as that person matches up with all these other demographic and psychographic traits. That's the type of situation where broad match comes in handy because they are going to do the heavy lifting for you to find customers that you couldn't get otherwise. And given that you now know that it's not just about what keywords you're targeting with Google Ads anymore. It's what is the person searching for the keyword, and the keyword doesn't even have to be the keyword if the person has all the other traits that make them a customer. And so broad match can get you unplateaued. And with that, and even when you've already done all the foundational work right to have the best click-through rate, best conversion rate on the traffic you got, it can take things to the next level, but you should do it last because phrase match is going to be a more predictable way to grow your sales, and it's already going to grow them 10, 20% a month anyway. So you don't need to get greedy basically, unless you just have tons of money to burn to get things done quicker, and you have that 50 grand to throw into the fire that you will not get back just to speed the process up of Google's algorithm, learning how to run your ads and figuring out how to find new customers. It's more practical to do everything you can to go after exact and phrase match, and then eventually broad match when you can't get any more sales out of exact and phrase. And even then, in a lot of markets, it still just won't even work. You can try broad match. It may work. It may not work. It'll generally work better in markets like in the gift example that I told you, where customers basically could buy the product without necessarily being, you know, as long as a person matches up with a certain set of traits and a certain set of life events and so on and so forth. But I've also had it to where we've made more money where we sold industrial lighting, and it's a specific, thing that you normally have to type in to buy that. We added the keywords in broad match and got to where we unplateaued our results and made an additional, we doubled the sales potential out of our Google ads and our keywords because the system was able to find us the type of person in terms of their previous search behavior, what they search for and so forth, and use that information, which they already have from our past campaigns that already gets customers, to run that broad match version of the campaign. And by the way, to go full circle on this, this is why you do broad match last. Because if you do broad match before you have a big database of customers for Google to look at, it's not going to run that broad match campaign worth of shit. So broad match campaign on a new campaign, or broad match keywords on a new campaign, and then on top of that, a new account, you're going to do terribly 99% of the time. Unless you're in a market where you have high demand, very low competition. So in that situation, broad match, you can make money. Most of you guys aren't in that situation. You're in a competitive market where there's other people that can do what you do. You got to be able to do better, and doing better is not starting with damn broad match keywords. So Google asking you to add the broad match version of your keywords when they say the limited by search volume, and give you that warning therefore get more conversions or better ROI adding broad match versions of your existing keywords to your campaign. That is basically Google just asking for more money without saying it like, give me more money. It's not a more polite way to, or if you want to be more like conspiracy minded here, it would be like, you know, them tricking you, if you will, even though I hate to say that, I get stomped out by them. Sales staff and Google reps, it's the same thing. They heavily push broad match keywords because it's just a quick, easy way to explain how, you know, it's something they can easily explain that'll get you to raise your budget, because that's ultimately what their number one goal is to get you to raise your budget. They're sales agents. They're called reps. They're being paid based upon you, or they're getting at least comped on you raising your budget. And if you didn't know that was the case, that is certainly the case. So just know, you know, Google, they have to be working on the interest of Google because due to corporate law, they have to serve the interests of their shareholders, not their customers. The shareholders come first before the customers. And if you actually serve the customers first, you're actually breaking the law. So it's impossible for them to think about you. And any way that they could screw over their customers that would make them more money, assuming that the customers wouldn't know, technically they have to do it. If you think about it, which is a sick, demented way to think about things, but it's kind of just the way that it is with corporations and how publicly traded companies work. So you got to think. If you don't think for yourself, nobody is going to think for yourself. And it's like saying, you know, you're going to go to the prosecutor to strike a deal for yourself if you were to get a criminal charge placed against you, knowing the prosecutor just wants to convict you. They may sound nice and everything to convince you to do this or that. At the end of the day, they don't give a rat's ass about you. They just want to get their conviction because that's what they're getting comped on. That's what they're getting paid for. You just got to know their nature going in. This is the same way. You got to think for yourself. And if you want real information, you got to come to someone like me who's not working on the side of the prosecutor, that is being paid to make you money, not to make them money, which you probably already know, but I like to put it into the context area anyway. So anyway, limited by search volume. That's the real skinny on the situation. Broad match has its place. And that place is generally after you were already very wildly successful with exact and phrase. It's not a replacement for it. Some people say that it is. Unless you're in an easy to dominate market, it's just going to waste and piss away a ton of your money, and you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to even run your ads efficiently enough to make money after all your product or service costs and your other expenses, including the ad spend it costs to get the customers in the first place. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment or a question on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. I'll do my best to use my 15 years of ad experience to help you out with what you're doing, put you on the right track with things, just as a thank you for helping the channel grow and watching the channel. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you should absolutely do so, as you are, I promise you, not going to find better, more accurate, relevant information about how to make millions of dollars running ads for your business as you are on this channel, given this is somebody who does 40 hours a week testing of ad strategies on Google, on Facebook, as my sole job. That doesn't sound that unique until you actually are inside. Inside you can and actually see for yourself that most of these other people selling courses don't actually run ads. Information they're telling you is just basically BS as a result of that second, third-hand information. Or people selling PPC services, but they run an agency, they don't actually do ad strategy themselves, or they run a couple campaigns, they don't have experience doing things on a broad basis on like 50 different accounts to see when it works and when it doesn't work. And so therefore, you're not going to find real good, relevant information out there. But this is exactly what I do as my full-time job. So this is my 40-hour-a-week job to do this. And I spend my extra little bit of free time that I have to report to you exactly what works and what doesn't work with ads. And not just a YouTuber trying to make money off of YouTube and filling your head full of smoke and your ass full of smoke. So that said, you should subscribe, and you should subscribe right now because you're not going to find better information out there on how to make millions of dollars running ads. Furthermore, If you like the channel, you can find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, which if you like the channel, you're going to love the blog even more because there's actual step-by-step advice, specific techniques that routinely make money with ads that you can apply to your business with screenshots, with all of that information. So whereas it's high-level information on this channel, you're going to find specific, detailed how-tos there if you also want that type of information as well, which I'm sure you do. As a side, if you don't want to do all the heavy lifting, so to say, to get the results from the strategies I talk about, this is exactly what I do for clients at our firm. That is, we execute these strategies for you, and we're the only agency out there that charges only on results. That is, if you don't make more money in terms of profit, not revenue, but profit after working with us initially, there is no fee per se. So with that said, if you want us to work together, work with you on a contingency basis like that, you can reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com. We don't work with just any client because we got to know, of course we can get great results with your campaign, but I'd be more than happy to give you a quick assessment with what you got, give you a projection of what kind of sales results we can provide for you as well as profit results for the next 8 quarters. If you reach out to me and it looks like a good opportunity, I'd be happy to do that for you. Beyond that, we also have gotten into selling ad templates. We've been in business at Guaranteed PPC for 10 years now. We've worked in over 100 different niche markets. If you are in a niche market that we've worked in before, you can take the exact ads, landing pages, campaign templates, everything that we got to where we produce a certain cost per lead or cost per sale in your industry or business that you're in, literally copy and paste everything we've done into your account and get the same results we are for a one-time fee for the templates. If you're interested in those templates and see if we worked in your market and therefore what results we got in your market to see if you can beat the results you have using our templates, reach out to me as well at guaranteedppc.com. I'll be happy to tell you what results we got in your niche market. And if you're trying to start a new business, this is the absolute best place to start because instead of trying to test something out that may or may not work, which obviously still has its place, you can literally have a business on training wheels. That is, starting with an ad template that sells a product or service at a known rate that's profitable already. Which is, we've got people using our ad templates to sell leads because they generate leads at such a decent cost, they can do that. We've got people that wanted to get into e-commerce. They weren't before, they were doing services. They took a template that we had to sell a product that they can easily source from China and opened up shop in a different country that our client is in and get the same results our client in country A is getting in country B, and it's turnkey. If you're interested in that opportunity, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. But with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.